Good afternoon, super friends. I don't even know where to put my arms. I have all the creatures around me right now. Welcome to the Sacred News and Weather. Today's edition is Wednesday, October something. I think I said it was the 7th on Monday, and it wasn't the 7th. It was the 6th. I think we are. I'll tell you where we are. We're on October 8th. We're on Wednesday, October 8th. It is the Wednesday, October 8th edition of the Sacred News and Weather. And I have to tell you, I have just had a wild morning. Um, I haven't the full moon energy has been affecting me deeply this time around. I don't know if it's because I'm a Libra. I don't know if it's because it's in my opposite sign. I know what I have figured out for myself, and so I'm going to share this with you. Whatever was happening around this time in April of this past year, that was the Aries new moon, and so April, whatever was happening for you in April, has now come to a conclusion with the harvest moon that we just experienced on Monday. And I think just been rocking my world. April was a big month for me. I left my job. I left a relationship or a relationship left me. And now it's just kind of all coming back around to come to completion to start the next cycle, which I feel like is relevant to the message that came through for us today. But it's been affecting my sleep, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. And by good thing, I mean my dear friend Eden calls me when I get to this place in my sleep cycle. She calls it the God phone. When either I'm sick or I am grossly underslept, I can tap into different layers of energy, just like almost automatically without even having to try. And I feel like that's what happened to me this morning when I got into meditation for our collective. Um, you might hear music in the background, though I think I turned it down because I suddenly had a fear that YouTube was not going to let me publish this message, because sometimes YouTube gets funny about what you have playing in the background. And what I had playing in the background moments ago was sacred music from Hildegard von Bingen, which is where my meditation started out this morning. And some of you were like, who? What? Um, Hildegard von Bingen was just this amazing and incredible human. She was born at I think, like somewhere around 1090 something. Um, I know it was after William the Conqueror, 1066, the things that you remember from high school or college, I don't even know where, but she came later than William the Conqueror, I know that. And she was just an incredible mystic. She was an herbalist, playwright, composer, all the things. I first was introduced to her in my theater program as an undergraduate, I believe in a playwriting class, and I believe we were introduced to her as one of the earliest, if not the earliest, female playwright. And that's where her name stuck with me. But later, as I pursued nursing and medicine, I got to know her, and then herbalism, I got to know her in a more medicinal role. And then, even later than that, as a mystic. And so her name came forward this morning as I sat down to meditate, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to put on some sacred music while I meditate." And she just took me in deeper and deeper and deeper. And so I'm going to try and share all that came through around Hildegard von Bingen and our message for this collective. Um, I feel like I have a little frog in my throat. So I'm going to pause this for a second, and then I'm going to clear my throat, and I'm going to keep going. Hang on one second. Okay, hopefully that worked, but I realized that my tea is sitting over there on my altar and my water is sitting over there. And with a dog and a cat on my lap, I think I'm just staying put. So I decided to clear my throat and not with you. So, again, as with anything I do, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. These messages are timeless. So, when you are tuning in, know that you're very likely going to find something in here for you. Um, and with no further ado, I'm just going to dive in. So, Hildegard von Bingen, first the playwright, then the herbalist and the musician, she came forward and I turned on some music and I sat down again and I heard longing, longing and longing and patience and longing. And so I just sat with that because I think I even posted a little meme in my Facebook group not that long ago, or not my Facebook group, but on Facebook, something along the lines of longing was never meant to be your lifestyle. Choose something different. And the feeling was today that longing was choosing us. Longing and patience and longing. And I ended up looking up patience and longing and Hildegard von Bingen because the two felt very connected, but I couldn't make the connection. The connection wasn't coming forward. And I found a line that she had written, which is longing stands next to patience. And I was like, okay, yeah, they go side by side. And I got to tell you, I'm not very good at either of them. And there's some irritability in the collective as well. And I don't think it's just mine. And so I sat with it for a little bit. And what came forward, um, well, a lot came forward, but the image from the tarot that came forward was the Five of Pentacles, which has been coming up for us now and again in the last several weeks, if not several months. And that is that feeling, if not even the last reading, it might have come through. It's that feeling of being abandoned, of being left out in the cold, of just feeling cut off. Today, it really felt like feeling cut off from a person or a group or a part of yourself. Like there was a feeling also for some of you that like you've cut off access to a part of yourself, namely this like very tender heart space. And that felt really forward too, like feeling out in the cold. But for some of you, it's not somebody else that left you out in the cold, it's yourself that has left yourself out in the cold. There's this element of detachment, but this longing to feel connected, this longing to feel connected with another, or this longing to feel connected with your own heart, that felt really, 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 really present today. And so I just sat in the discomfort of the desire to be with, it's either a desire to be with a person or be like, there's that next timeline, that desire to just make the leap and to be in the next place that we're going to, but we're not quite there yet. And it's that in between space that has been coming up here as well. It's like there's this feeling of being in between one timeline and another. And there's this longing for either what was or what will be. And there's this innate discomfort in where we are right now. And I didn't want to just leave us here. And so I just kept sitting with what needs to happen, what wants to happen in order to, sorry, cats are moving, dogs are moving, everybody's moving and tucking in. Everybody's moving and tucking in and getting cozy. Get cozy, everyone. Um, I didn't want to just leave it like, yeah, we're all here being impatient and longing, and it kind of sucks. It's kind of a weird space to be. I wanted to be able to offer you something to do with it. And the first thing that I heard after sitting with that image of the Five of Pentacles was, you need to choose. You need to choose. And that's actually what feels like the root of this longing and this desire for something new, is that we're sitting in this in-between space, not because we're not worthy of where we're going or because we don't know where we want to go, but there's this feeling energetically of we have not yet chosen. And that's why we're in this place between patience, and longing. And it's a damned uncomfortable place for many of us. I know it's uncomfortable for me. And so I kept sitting with it and looking for, okay, well, who needs to choose? How do we choose? How do we know what's for us? And what I could feel was the fear in making the wrong choice, which comes up for us here often. Like, what if I choose incorrectly? And if I choose incorrectly, then maybe it's better to not choose. So maybe I'll just stay here in the discomfort of longing and like trying to cultivate patience. And there was some essence of like nobility, and I am cultivating patience, and I kind of wanted to call bullshit on it. Like, no, you're not being patient. You're itchy and rashy and uncomfortable, and you are prolonging the longing. You're prolonging the agony. You're prolonging this discomfort because you're not fully choosing that which you desire. Now, for some of you, the reason you haven't chosen or you're not choosing that which you desire, even though you know it's what you desire, is because there is fear that that which you desire is somehow either, if it's a person, going to reject you, or if it is a situation, if it's a new timeline, if it's greater abundance, a new job, a new life, there's this feeling of worthiness or unworthiness attached to it. Like, what if I'm not worthy of this next thing? What if I'm not worthy of this higher timeline? What if I'm not worthy of this abundance? What if I can't hold it? And that was a feeling that was really, really palpable as well, is like, what if I choose this, but I get there and I can't hold it and I let it go, and then I go tumbling back with my tail between my legs and just like embarrassed and in shame. Better to stay here in the longing and the impatience that you're trying to rename patience. Better to be here in this limbo space, in this longing, than it is to actually choose and be rejected or choose and fuck it all up. And it's just not true. We need collectively to get really, really clear about what it is that we desire. And then we need to trust that we are both worthy of that which we desire and able to hold and create and grow from that which we desire. I could feel that feeling of stepping into the next timeline and being like, "Ah, I'm here." And then like watching the floor drop out, watching everything drop out, and like now I'm nothing. Like I was something. At least I knew who I was back here in the impatience and longing. In this new place, I don't know who I'll be. I don't trust myself to hold it. And I don't even know if it's what I want. And so that also felt like a really big piece as well. I don't even know if it's what I want. And so for some of you, you're being invited to go back to the drawing board, not for forever, but to get really practical with your mindset work, if you'll call it that. If we want to call it that, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it prayer, you can call it meditation, you can call it journaling, you can call it mindset work. The bottom line is you're longing and impatient because you're wishy-washy. We haven't yet chosen completely this next timeline, this next relationship, this next version of ourselves. And for some of you, it feels like you're waiting, like it's the longing and the impatience has been couched under, I'm waiting for someone else to make the first move. Like some of you are waiting on being offered a job. Some of you are waiting on being asked out on a date. Some of you are waiting on your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend to come back. There's this element of waiting on something outside of yourself. And I'm also going to call bullshit on you there. Because even if you know that the next move is not yours, it cannot be yours, for you to make the next outward move, even if you know that that's not what you're supposed to do. For some of you, and this feels very specific, but it feels very clear. So some of you are going to resonate with this very, very deeply and precisely. Some of you know that the next move has to come from someone else, from a boss or a future boss, from a family member, from a beloved. It's got to come from outside of you. But you need to know that the only way it's going to come from outside of you is if you choose what you desire inside of you. So let me see if I can get really help you get really clear on this. I feel very boxed in by my animals right now. I want to be using bigger hands and I'm like, I'm gonna elbow cats and dogs, and that doesn't feel good. So if I'm moving weird, you know why. I'm trying not to batter the animals. So, to get really clear inside of yourself about what you want, like you think you're waiting on someone or something else outside of you, but the clarity, the only way that outside move is going to happen is if you get really clear inside of yourself about what you want and you hold the frequency of what you desire. There's this feeling and I'm just going back to, I had a moment at drop off this morning where I was talking to another family and it came up here too, and I didn't even remember it until now. That particular family, they were waiting on, like, are they going to stay in the house that they're renting, or are they going to move a little bit closer to the school? And they were like, I don't know. I'll let the universe decide. And yes, there's something to be said for trusting, surrendering and trusting. I talk a lot about that here. But there is an element of getting really clear about what you want. It's like, do you want the Fairfax house or do you want to stay in San Rafael? And, there it might be just a very practical, like, pros and cons list. But I suspect that whether they write a pros and cons list or journal about it or not, like, there is a desire underneath for what they actually want for themselves as a family. And so maybe that practical application will help you understand what it is that you need to decide in order to create that external opening outside of yourself. Like, do you actually want to be in a relationship? Do you actually want to be in a new job? Do you actually want to go back to the old girlfriend? What do you actually desire? Because once you get really clear and you really choose what you want, it's going to open up for you. I can't stress that enough. There was the five of Pentacles, that card of being out in the cold, of being cut off from your own heart, cut off from community, feeling really alone and abandoned and cold. And then the next card that I'm seeing now, I'm actually seeing two more. I'm seeing the Seven of Cups, which is that cup of the card of, like, too many choices. I've got too many choices, and which is the cup that's going to fulfill me? Like, which is the one that I want most? But oh, I'm so confused. I have so many options. I have so many options here. I don't know which one to choose. And then the next card, the outcome that I'm seeing, is the Fool, which is a new beginning. And the only way you're going to get to the new beginning is if you choose one of those cups. So choose. I want you to choose today, in the coming week, in the coming weeks. I want you to get really clear about what it is you desire, not about what someone else outside of you needs to do in order for you to be clear. We're being invited to get really clear about what we actually desire in order to go from longing and trying to find patience in the longing into the next stage of our lives, into the next timeline, into the life that we actually desire for ourselves. The message today is that we are keeping our own selves outside of the place that we actually want to be, and in this perpetual state of longing and impatience, and it's time to move from this place into the next place. Now, I mentioned earlier that there was a little bit of a magical feeling that happened in the meditation today. And the next piece of magic that happened after Hildegard of Bingen and that line about patience and longing is I picked up a book that was literally sitting next to me. If you know me, if you've been to my house, next to my altar, I have a whole stack of books. Next to this chair, I have a whole stack of books. On like my side of the bed, I have a whole stack of books. Sometimes on the passenger side of the bed, if there's no passenger, there's a whole stack of books. There are just books everywhere. And some of them I'm actively reading, and some of them I pick up for a little bit of inspiration. I flip open, like, and I'll ask Spirit, okay, show me what I need to know, show me what I need to see here. And I open it up and receive either, a poem or a line or a phrase that resonates. And so I happened to pick up at the end of the meditation a book by Jan Richardson. Um, the book is called In the Sanctuary of Women. And I just opened up to a random page. And what did I see? Longing stands next to patience. It's a poem that she wrote, Jan Richardson wrote. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up and everything tingled. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm going to read you this poem because it's definitely for us. This whole message, I feel like, was getting me to this poem. And I want to give it to you now. So if you're not into poetry, you can turn me off and say goodbye, and I'll see you on Friday. But if you would like a little snippet of poetry, um, it is called Longing Stands Next to Patience, and it's by the author Jan Richardson. Longing would sometimes like to be assigned a different spot, would like to be less near this one, who approaches everything with such equanimity, would like some distance from the measured way that patience marks time, holds herself with such politeness towards its passing. Patience knows this about longing, accepts it, even loves it about her. This makes longing crazy. Patience has not told her she has some envy of longing's perfect ache, or that she thinks it must be an art to hold oneself so perpetually poised toward the horizon. For her part, longing has not confessed that there are days she finds patience restful, soothing, a relief. Meanwhile, by little and by little, so slowly its appearance will startle them both. A horizon is drawing near. So do with that what you will, but I'm going to encourage you, if you are feeling a little tired of the impatience and the longing, to really turn inward, to really connect with your heart center that you're feeling disconnected from, and to ask yourself what it is that you truly desire, and then choose it fully, because that is how you are going to get exactly what you need. I love you all. Thank you for being here today. Please like and share and subscribe. Oh, and by the way, congratulations to Laura, who will be joining us in the Unlikely Biblical Book Club, which will begin tomorrow. Next week is my birthday week. I'm going to give away a one-on-one coaching spot with me. So look for that on Monday. It's so funny. Nobody came in to comment underneath here in the YouTubes, but I had people coming into Instagram. I had 7 people come in Instagram and Facebook and one by text message to say, hey, I'd love to do it. And so I did a little spinner and got us a Laura. Laura is joining us. So thank you for playing in whatever way you do. But as always, I would love it if you would comment below and tell all of your friends how weird I am. And thank you.